For too long, residents have been told that enforcing our nation's immigration laws undermines public safety. In reality, the opposite is true. Rather than confront that reality of which I've just spoken, leaders like Tim Walz or Mayor Fry have relied on heated rhetoric and accusations that distract from the facts.
Get to that, I want to get to the breaking news we have just heard. The FBI has apparently just served subpoenas to several officials here in Minneapolis, including members of the office of Governor Tim Walz.
Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell to get notifications anytime I go live or make a video. Make sure you still subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Let's get into this. Breaking news. The DOJ subpoenas the offices of Walz, Ellison, and Mayor Fry. Let's play the clip. Roll it.
And John, before we get to that, I want to get to the breaking news we have just heard. The FBI has apparently just served subpoenas to several officials here in Minneapolis, including members of the office of Governor Tim Walz. We will bring you more information as we get it on those subpoenas. Meantime, the number of protesters out here at the federal building is diminishing every day, it seems, but the war of words between local officials and the Trump administration is only getting stronger. The latest flashpoint, as you mentioned, that protest at a St. Paul church on Sunday, during which several dozen protesters disrupted the service, screaming at members of the congregation and screaming anti-ICE slogans. In the meantime, the president himself is urging a lot more of the number of criminals that are being arrested during Operation Metro Surge. The president saying on Truth Social, quote, "Show the numbers, names, and faces of the violent criminals and show them now. The people will start supporting the patriots of ICE instead of the highly paid troublemakers, anarchists, and agitators." Congresswoman Ilhan Omar said on X, quote, "Stop terrorizing people with your fake PR about criminals in Minneapolis, because the only people on the streets of Minneapolis you are arresting are law-abiding citizens." And
Time out. I think that's it. Let her finish the clip. Let her finish. Let him finish.
Held a press conference a short time ago in which they accused what they said was a small group of federal agents of merely stopping people through racial profiling. Listen here.
If Americans...
Our clip cut off. I wish we had the rest of that one. But let me just say this real quick. And this for your auntie that's a stewhead that been listening to propaganda all day. Are you guys completely stupid, or are you just kind of stupid? There is no way whatsoever that you can be stupid enough to believe that ICE is arresting just regular citizens. Do you know how big Minneapolis is? And you telling me that they just walking down random streets. They have warrants. They've deported and detained over 600,000 people. And you telling me they're not doing nothing? It's just rapists, murderers, gangbangers, people committing violent crimes. These people are getting arrested by the hundreds of thousands. Like, my mind is blown at how stupid and irresponsible some of these leaders are. They're literally saying that ICE isn't arresting anybody. They're just arresting American citizens. I'm telling you guys right now, I have not tasted a bourbon like this ever in my life. We went through rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds of making sure the taste was right, making sure it was perfect. And I'm telling you, and when you get it and you try it, you will be able to give us a review and let me know if I'm lying. I have never had a bourbon this smooth with this much character that didn't cost hundreds of dollars. So we took a while to produce it. We took a while to get the taste right, but it's on point. Verdict, guilty, which is a straight 6-year aged. or you get not guilty with a hint of brown sugar in it. The best bourbon that I've ever tasted. So make sure if you're interested, go on. You must be 21 and over, obviously, but you make sure you drink responsibly. We don't do the irresponsible drinking. We don't do the drinking to get drunk and intoxicated. We do the fine dining experience when it comes to bourbon, all right? So all you got to do is go to verdictreservespirits.com, verdictreservespirits.com. We'll put the link in the description section. People are already just going ham. I mean, hundreds of people have already pre-ordered. Should be available later this month. We'll start shipping them out. But I'm telling you, the best on the market, and it's $59.99. I could talk about this the whole show. But y'all go get you some Verdict and let me know which one you like the most, the guilty or not guilty. So Scott Jennings, you know, he's clutch. Scott Jennings is like Michael Jordan in his prime. Scott Jennings is the Michael Jordan of television. He don't miss. So this is the foolishness at CNN trying to come against the things that are factual that Scott Jennings is putting out there. Let's roll the first clip. Roll it.
Thinking about a couple of things. One, last summer, if I were sitting in a church right now in Minneapolis and a bunch of people burst in, I'd be on edge because last summer a shooter showed up at a Catholic church in Minneapolis and shot a bunch of kids. 2 died. I think 30 people were injured, 26 were kids. And so the terror in that church, I think, is probably warranted, if for no other reason than we've seen radical violence at a church in the not-too-distant past. We've also seen, attempts to create...
Time out. Look at that. I wanted to call a word, but the Lord is calling me to greater things. Look at that hamburger heifer. I just want you to look at her face while Scott Jennings is telling the truth. Look at the disgust on her face. Who could marry a woman this stupid? Roll the clip.
Create violence and mayhem and fear in churches around the country, synagogues and other places. And so I feel like the radical left is somewhat emboldened right now to go up to and now into places of worship. It sounds like the FACE Act is what they're going to use. I've also heard today from some sources that the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, they may look at that for bringing charges to Don Lemon and these radical leftists that went into this church. I think if they don't do something to these people who did this, you're going to see it proliferate in churches across the country, and that would be very regrettable.
You make a good point about the issue, but it isn't necessary to say the radical left did this. It's
Why?
protest.
It's necessary to stop.
You're making it political. It's legal.
Tell the truth?
How do you know? You know who was there? You went through the videos and looked at all the faces
I watched
already?
videos, and I also looked at the list of people that they themselves published. It looks like the radical left to me. I mean,
you know all the people in Minnesota who are on the radical left.
I mean, they published a list of the Black Lives Matter activists.
All as the same
Don, who I think we all know here is the radical left.
Don says he was there covering it.
Okay.
Don can speak for himself on this, but that's what he says he was.
I can't imagine being the only smart person just around you at all times. Like, Scott Jennings is a hero, dude. These people are so stupid. That dumb chicken wing was shaking her head and getting upset and huffing and puffing when Scott Jennings specifically mentioned an incident that happened in Minnesota where they went into that church and they shot up them people. They killed 2 kids and they injured a whole bunch of other kids. What are you shaking your head about? That factually happened. He says the radical left and the other dumb woman got on there and was like, you don't have to say the radical left. I swear before, let me not use that. I put my life on it. If there were conservatives doing that, they would have no qualms about saying MAGA Republicans did this. This is a radical left position. So it's not like it's odd for somebody to deduce that this was radical leftists that went into the church. Many of the individuals who led the march are radical leftists, self-proclaimed. Don Lemon is a radical leftist. Everybody knows he's the reporter. What are you ignorant folk talking about? All right, continue. And this brother right here They finally put a black man, because I was losing hope in the people of the melanin. Because every black person they put on there is stupider than the other ones. And they finally get a brother on there. They need to feature more black people on there so people can see that all black people are not silly. Because they make women look bad, because every woman on there is silly, and all the black people are silly. Can they start putting reasonable women and reasonable black people on there so we don't get confused that there are smart black people and there are smart women? This brother was 100% right. And guess what? Ignorant folk or ignorant woman was shaking her head at what that brother was saying. Roll the clip.
I totally disagreed. Because of what a pastor does for a living or what they're involved in politically gives no one the right. There was a child in that video who was sitting in their father's arms, shaking, confused, trying to figure out what's going on when these people burst into this church. And Lee, what I would say is people have a First Amendment right and the ability to go and protest against ICE. If they don't like ICE, be my guest, go protest. But those people in that church, I would say and, not but, those people in that church absolutely have a First Amendment right to gather and worship the God of their choosing. And I'll say a point here is it is actually Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the day that we recognize his contribution to the country today. His mother in 1974 was shot and killed in a church because of political violence, because the KKK wanted to insert their political will over a community. This is remarkably similar to that. I remember my great-grandfather telling me stories about church bombings in the South. Remarkably similar to that. Everyone at this table should have no...
So the protest is similar to the person getting shot.
Let me finish, please. Everyone at this table, please, should have absolutely no issue saying that this was wrong, it was reprehensible behavior, and this is not the appropriate way that we address our grievances in this country.
So which innocent people are and are not allowed to get shot as far as you're concerned?
That's not what I'm talking about. People have a right in this country, regardless of what your political convictions are, to worship freely and safely, and no one should watch a child on camera like what we saw trembling in their father's arms because of your political convictions. ICE does
to children
and their
families.
Your political convictions do not overstep someone's ability to worship safely and securely.
No, but stop making it about worship. Did I call that into question?
I'm sorry, guys. I respect you, but there's no but. There's no but.
There's a little bit of a different issue because...
Smartest response to that, like, how can you argue with the response? There's no way, shape, form, or fashion that should be acceptable to barge into a church and disrupt the place of worship. You guys could protest outside, you could protest down the street, but you bombard it into a church and you would never do it at a mosque. Why don't you do it at a black church? Y'all did it because they were white and because they were Christian, and it's wrong. Then they want to bring up, if you see what ICE is doing, if you see what these illegals are doing to people's kids, why don't you have a problem with that? All right, next clip.
Law enforcement,
you're saying illegals as if they're only targeting...
How about the government comes clean if you're saying they're doing that? Doesn't seem like they're doing that. Their actions do not speak to those words.
You don't get to say the word illegals anymore.
And you have.
I don't. The percentage...
Who are you to tell me what I can and can't? I've never met you, brother. Listen, I can say whatever I want. They're illegal aliens, and that's what the law calls them, illegal aliens. That's what I'm going to call them.
You can't say illegals anymore because ICE is directly targeting legal citizens of this country. And
how are you going to enforce your edict on me, just out of curiosity?
Listen, I understand.
But just listen to his point about illegal.
No, I want to know why he gets to instruct
You're
my
changing the topic.
Hang on.
I want to know.
You're making a point
making
about
an
the people being arrested.
I understand that your job is predicated on just getting increasingly more demented every single week, and that the audience comes back to see if perhaps
make your point.
My point is that you're saying the word illegals, but you don't even really know what's happening. Or actually, I think you do, and you're doing this on purpose. But
yes,
the truth
because
is,
I want the law enforced.
They are not just targeting illegal immigrants. They are targeting natural-born U.S. citizens.
They are not.
That is a fact. You cannot deny that. I mean, you can on national television.
They are
deny
not.
Facts all the time.
They
You've
are
done it a
not.
couple times in this very episode.
I still want to know how you're going to enforce your language edicts on me.
We'll take that up.
How are we going to enforce it?
We're going to take that up.
Scott, like, come on, pull up then. All right, what you going to do? You're a child. Stay in a child's place. But I got some facts for you here. 8 USC, or it's U.S. Code 1324. Multiple times the word illegal alien is presented. I'll read it for you. Any person who knowingly or in reckless disregard of the facts that an alien is an illegal alien, transports or moves or attempts to transport or move such illegal alien within the United States is guilty of that statute. Illegal alien phrases appears multiple times throughout the U.S. Code 1324. 8 U.S. Code 1357 also brings up the word illegal alien. Let me just give you an example. This term, immigration enforcement, includes the identification, adherence, detention, or removal of illegal aliens from the United States of America. I can go down the list. Illegal alien, illegal alien, illegal alien is in the book. If you don't want to say illegal alien, get them to change the language in the book. Why are you not adhering to the language in the book? This is textbook propaganda. They want to change language so they can change the meaning and the effect of what is being said. You are illegally in this country. You're not undocumented. You are illegal. You're not supposed to be here. There are people that live next door to you that are also immigrants, but they're legally here. I don't know how stupid people got to be to not understand this. What are we talking about? I'm driving down the street, headed to the headquarters today, and I see some Mexicans, and that's all that work out here. I don't know what everybody else doing. Bunch of Mexicans working on everything you can think of. And I drive by, and I say, these folk ain't doing nothing wrong out here. They just out here. But if they're illegally here, and somebody rounded them up and took them, I don't feel bad. You know why you cutting this grass that you ain't supposed to be here. Or they're cutting the grass because they came here the right way and they're looking for a better life. They're working and providing for their families legally. So I don't judge. That ain't my job. But if ICE came here and they start rounding people up, that ain't got nothing to do with me. You know you wasn't supposed to be here in the first place. What do y'all expect for us to do as a country? You want us to just brush it under the rug because we might hurt somebody's feelings? Y'all care more about illegals than you care about American citizens. Y'all ain't gonna make heaven acting like this. You ain't gonna make heaven. Let's go on. Is that all my Scott Jennings stuff? No, we got one more. I had to bring this up. Make sure you hit my cue. My Alex Jones cue. No, not this one. Not this one. I want to go to the next clip. We could go to 305. So I want you to hit my Alex Jones cue, though. Roll the clip.
You know, it sounds like it should be in the top 10 choices is a Palestinian person, which does not appear on this peace board. And that's how we know that Donald Trump's alleged ceasefire, which the state of Israel has violated countless times, by the way, is just a facade. And you're going
to let the aggressors in this war onto the peace board? I don't think so.
Who are the aggressors in this war?
Hamas, the Palestinians, Hamas that invaded Israel, that raped, murdered, kidnapped, and tortured the Israelis. That
are
took
you claiming
hostages,
right now that the state of Israel has never committed rape, torture, or murder against innocent Palestinians? Can you make that claim?
The entire reason we had this war is because of October the 7th. So, no, I don't think they should be invited to be on the peace board until they, I don't know, demilitarize and do the rest of the things they're supposed to do.
I don't know.
All right, I want to go back to 303. This was the clip I really wanted to see. I missed it. Let's play the clip. And this is why CNN is so foolish. And I bet you they won't have this kid on there no more. Roll the clip.
And he's basically playing risk because people hurt his feelings, or people ostensibly hurt his feelings. So I am appreciative that the president is being transparent about this. I would love it if he was more transparent about the human sex trafficking network that he was a part of, but you can't win them all.
Cameron's grateful that the president is being transparent about the Nobel Peace Prize and his desires for Greenland. Scott, what do you think about that?
You going to let that sit? Are we going to claim here on CNN that the president is part of a global sex trafficking ring? Or,
well,
I mean,
we're going to talk about the Epstein file. Scott, I will do the fact checking as we go along here. Repeat what you said about the global sex trafficking ring.
That Donald Trump was provably very involved with it.
Okay, we'll get to that later. I mean, Donald Trump has never been charged with any crimes in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. But
let's be adults
We'll talk about that.
Let's be serious.
Satisfied?
Let's be serious. He was trying to come back, and the guy was like, no, because that's defamation. There is no evidence, there's no documentation that Donald Trump was involved materially in a sex trafficking ring. The president in a sex, do you know CNN will lose in a lawsuit? Donald Trump has already won a few of them. I mean, for hundreds of millions of dollars. I almost wish Scott Jennings didn't say nothing. Well, I like he said it because it draws attention to it, but like, you just defamed the president. I mean, anybody. And I'll say this, and we're going to move on real quick because I'm running out of time. But like, if a Republican got on TV and said, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a politician that wasn't involved in something crazy. Maybe we go Joe Biden. Because I don't think that it was any accusation. If somebody said Joe Biden was involved in a pedophile ring, a Republican said that on TV, call him out. You can't just make up stuff because you mad at somebody.